Want to get into liquidation? I'm going to give you some tips and tricks. What is up, beautiful people? TJ here with another episode. Today we're gonna be talking all about liquidation. Y'all really liked that last video that I posted about how to get into liquidation and getting into reselling. So I really want to make an updated video, especially going into 2023, because there's a lot of things that, you know, back in 2020, 2021, when I was making those liquidation videos, things have really like changed in the liquidation world. So I want to kind of give an updated view of my perspective of what liquidation is, and also reselling. I'm not just going to talk about liquidation. I'm going to talk about just reselling in general, give you some tips and tricks based on my experience. Let's get into it. All right, so the first thing is the where. So back then when I made that very first video, we was purchasing a lot of liquidation pallets online. You know, we was going to the bulk.coms and the quick lots and just a lot of different places online we was actually purchasing liquidation pallets from. But I will tell you now, it is getting a little more expensive. Shipping is more expensive, and the pallets in general are just a lot more expensive than they were back then. I remember back in the day, we could get like a $200 pallet for, you know, a big pallet for like $200, $300. And then now that same pallet is like $600 or $700. So that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad, because there is still profit in a lot of these pallets. Once you know how to look at the stuff, you really need to know how to look at the the items on the pallet, and we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But just understand that, you know, the prices from, you know, 2020, 2021, they're going to be a lot different in 2023. Keep that in mind, especially if you're buying pallets online. Now, I'm not saying that you don't need to buy pallets online or that you can't buy pallets online, because I'm going to go through a couple websites where you can go and purchase some pallets online. I'm also going to show you how to go and find local pallet stores. So let's talk first about local pallet stores. Local pallet stores are like the best place, in my opinion, to buy pallets and liquidation. And the reason I say that is because you're going to oftentimes you're going to be able to you know, have a greater profit, because you're not going to be paying for shipping. Shipping is just like a dead cost. It's just something, you know, sometimes it's as much as the pallet, just to be honest with you. And if you want to, you know, start out and you want to be profitable from the beginning, you really want to make sure you keep your cost of goods as low as possible. So definitely buying local is going to be your best bet, just in my opinion. Just me saying that is not, you know, going to make it where you can just go out and buy a pallet, because everybody doesn't have a pallet shop close to them. Me and April have actually traveled all the way down past Atlanta to go get some pallets. So sometimes you do have to travel to get some really good stuff. Luckily, oh my God, thank you so much. We have been so lucky to have a really great pallet store just down the road from us. I can actually stop there on my way home from work. So you really want to look for places that you can get locally, you know, 1-2 hours to get there. And then also is, especially if you are treating this as a business, you know, traveling to and from the pallet store is just going to be a part of your business, and you're going to be able to write those things off on your taxes, you know, mileage, gas, all those different things for going to go pick those pallets up. So I will tell you, just I want to drive that home, is that local is going to be your best bet for getting pallets. Now, in that same breath, you can also find some pallets and boxes online. And when I say boxes, I'm talking about, you know, Amazon mystery boxes, or, you know, even like Amazon coffin boxes. There's a lot of places where you can buy them online, but this is one thing I want you to be beware of. I've had a lot of people come and ask me questions about, you know, hey, is this company good? Is this company good? And most of the time, like 80% of the time, those companies are scams. And I can point out a liquidation scam, I mean, from a mile away, because they all pretty much have the same signature. They have super cheap pallets, super cheap shipping, or they promise, like, if you see a picture of like a pallet of PlayStation 5s, that is a scam site. And if that is a real place, then, you know, you've really stumbled upon something that nobody else has stumbled upon. So when you see pictures of like pallets of PlayStation 5s, pallets of Apple products, those are hard things to get in liquidation. They do come in liquidation pallets. You can run across a PlayStation 5, you can run across an iPad, you can run across an Apple iPhone, but to see an entire pallet of it, and it's like they want to charge you like $700 for a pallet of PlayStation 5s. Come on now, you know that's not real.
Daddy, chill.
So don't get into the hype. There are a lot of companies that are popping up all over the place, especially like on social media. So like if you look on Facebook, you look on Instagram, they have like what they look like legit pages. They have pages with like engagement, and they have like a bunch of followers, and you see all these different things. You're like, oh man, I can get that, you know, I can just get that shipped to my house. Well, what they do is they take your money and they ship you something that's $25 or $30. And I've seen it time and time. I've seen so many people get scammed because of that. So really pay attention to where you're going to be purchasing from if you're going to be making purchases online. So on my last video, I have a whole video about where you can purchase these items for online. I'll leave a link to it here. It's going to be right here where my hand is at. You know, there's a bunch of different places you can go and buy stuff online, and I will make an entire video updated with some places where you can, some reputable places where you can purchase liquidation pallets from. But just make sure you do your due diligence before you actually purchase from a place online, because there are a lot of scams out there. So I know I talk a lot about pallets, but you can also get other things that are liquidation. So you can get liquidation boxes. You can also get mystery boxes. You can get just different lots of things. So you can go and buy lots of items. And we also go to like the bin store. The bin store is something that's kind of a hidden gem. I don't see a lot of people going to bin stores online. I know a lot of people go to bin stores because the lines are normally always like out of the, you know, out in the parking lot to get into these bin stores. What a Amazon bin store is basically a place that purchases multiple pallets of liquidation, and they put them into bins or troughs, and you know, everything is like one price. So everything may be $5 or $7 or $10, and then you can go get those items, and a lot of times you can be very profitable. Sometimes I want to think that actually purchasing from bin stores is better than getting liquidation pallets, because the reason I say that is because you can handpick everything. You can look over the items, you can look up the cost of the items. You know, you can really try to see how much, you know, you can get more bang for your buck. You know, you're spending $7 or $10 and you can actually make $100 or $50, $75, whatever it is, versus getting a liquidation pallet where you can kind of see some of the stuff that's on there. You don't really know what the condition of the stuff is. You can look up some items. Sometimes, depending on what the pallet looks like, you may not be able to see what's on the inside of the pallet. So you really have to guess, and you have to kind of put it into faith that you're going to get something good. But you know, if you're dealing with a reputable place, then most of the time you will be profitable with those pallets. But Amazon bin stores are a hidden gem. You need to really make sure that you understand if you have a bin store that's close to you. Go try it out one time to see if it's something that's going to be, you know, you can use in your sourcing. Have an open mind. Don't think like, oh, this is a bunch of junk, because sometimes when you look up those items that you think are junk could be, you know, a grail or an item that you didn't, just because you don't know what an item is doesn't mean it's a bad item. So definitely give the bin stores a try. All right, so now you got all these items. Where are you going to sell these items at? So the kind of the atmosphere of selling has changed quite a bit since I was making those videos in 2020. But eBay is not just the only place that you can list stuff on now. You know, you can list stuff on Mercari. You can list stuff on like Depop. You can list stuff on Poshmark. You can do live auctions on Whatnot. There's so many different places you can actually sell your items. You can list stuff on Facebook Marketplace. There's a lot of different places that you can actually sell items at. But I will caution you with trying all these different platforms, because it's difficult to sell on one platform. It is extremely difficult to sell on multiple platforms with the same inventory. So if you have the same pile of inventory and you're cross-listing it to different e-commerce platforms, just be really cognizant and organize your items, because we've done it before, and it's hard sometimes when somebody orders something from Mercari and you know, you don't take it out of your eBay inventory. Then somebody buys it on eBay. Now you don't have the item because you only have one of those items. So that is a very big problem with cross-listing. I will say though that cross-listing does put your items in front of a broader audience, because everybody doesn't shop on eBay. Everybody doesn't shop on Whatnot. Everybody doesn't shop on Poshmark, you know, so you have a different audience for your items. And a lot of times you can capitalize on it, because, you know, maybe it's clothing that you have a lot of, and a lot of people aren't buying clothing on eBay. So now you're selling a lot of your items on Whatnot, or you're selling them on Poshmark. So just make sure that, you know, you're being organized. Organize in the beginning. Don't, you know, wait till the end or wait till you get some listing up, then start organizing. Organize from the beginning, because it's so hard to go back and get everything organized. Me and April have been trying to organize our store for the last year and a half, and it is difficult. If we would have done it before, or when we first listed the items, it would have been, you know, it would have been done obviously immediately, versus us having to go back and reorganize everything. So I cannot stress enough, just make sure you stay organized, especially if you're going to be selling on multiple platforms. So the last thing I want to talk about today is reselling actually worth it? And I think that reselling is worth it, especially if you put a lot into it, if you have a plan going into it, if you know, don't just jump into it like, oh my God, I want to love doing this. I always tell people, you know, before you start, you know, before you go out and buy a liquidation pallet or you go to the bin store, just sell some stuff around your house and actually see if you like selling stuff. See if you like the interaction between you and the customer. Even if you like customers, you may not even be a person that like customers. I quit. So just make sure that you are really going to be into it. I actually had somebody leave a comment the other day and ask me, you know, they said they were ready to get started. You know, is it still a good thing? And I like I said, I think it's a really good thing, reselling just in general, not necessarily just liquidation, but reselling in general. You can, you know, get stuff from thrift stores. You can get stuff from estate sales, yard sales, all those different things. So there's a lot of different ways that you can resell items. And I will also tell you, it is a good thing, but also you need to make sure that you diversify your portfolio of sources to get stuff from. So buy a liquidation pallet, but also start learning about other things like bin stores, learn about thrift stores, learn about yard sales, you know, because it is going to happen. It has happened to us multiple times. We have a source that we buy from all the time, and then it just dries up. And then you can't be so, you know, you can't have this relationship with the company. It's good to have a relationship with the company, but you can't be so entranced or so latched onto this source, and then it dries up and then now you have nothing. I have seen a lot of people come in when we started doing mystery boxes, and they were buying mystery boxes and they was getting good stuff and it was making all this money, and then the place just is gone. Like, they don't sell mystery boxes anymore. So now what are we going to do? You know what? Now where are we going to buy from? So just make sure you have a diverse portfolio of sources. I am going to be making more videos about reselling, so make sure you are subscribed to this channel, and let me know in the comment section below, like, what questions you have. I tried to answer a couple of questions that I remember from just off the top of my head that people have been sending me on videos, but I'm going to have some more videos kind of doing deep dives into different aspects of reselling, and, you know, based on my experience. Now, if you want to see that original video or any of the reselling videos I have done, I'm going to put them into this playlist that you can go and check out, because it's a lot of information there. A lot of information is still relevant, even though some of those videos are quite old and I didn't have like all these gray hairs back then. But check them out. I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.